wait. Touch my swag, wish you good. I look fly, I look good. Turn my mouth, oh my, I look fly. Hey, what up, everybody? All right, so that was, Charlie Boy. In case you didn't know, Charlie Boy is from that Texas. That's right, that Texas. Just in case you didn't. Today we're going to talk a little about the great state of Texas. Now, first of all, before you get an attitude, especially for my fifth period, Dante Scott, don't even go there, okay? I did not just pick Texas out of a random subject of things to teach. It's actually a part of the lesson plan the state of Louisiana says you to know about Texas. So we probably did our little first activity to see what area of the country we're going to talk about next. Remember, we're talking about westward expansion. We're going west. The Americans are going, have this idea of manifest destiny, that God told them, or God's allowing them to take over North America, live wherever they want, wherever they please. So let's figure out what's going on down in my state, Texas. All right, let's keep rolling here. So we're talking the story of how Texas became a part of the United States. I definitely think that we blessed the United States when we became part of the United States. Anyways, so making predictions. How do you think Texas became a part of the United States? So go ahead, take a minute or two, and write down 1 or 2 sentences on how do you think Texas became a part of the United States. Some of y'all may not be listening right now, so I'm going to explain it to you again as soon as I pause the video. So I'm pausing the video now. Okay, so you should have written down some stuff. We probably talked a little bit about it. Cool. So let's keep it moving. Now, remember, Louisiana was owned by the who? Someone raise your hand and tell me. Louisiana was owned by the French. So it's a little bit different because Texas, well, Spain controlled a large amount of territory in the southwest, including the area of Texas. España! Yes, indeed. So Spain controls the area of Texas. So Louisiana is the French, as Texas is the Spain, shall we say. So in 1821, Mexico led a successful rebellion against Spain and became independent. Okay? So Mexico decided they want to get their independence from Spain. Just like the 13 colonies got their independence from Great Britain. So as a result of this rebellion, Mexico gained control of Texas. So since Mexico gained its independence from Spain, Spain's on the other side of the world in the European continent. It makes more sense idealistically that Mexico, right there with Texas, kind of grab that area of land and become a little unified. All right, so Mexico now has Texas. Texas is now part of Mexico. So was Spanish territory? Now it's Mexican territory. So Mexico encouraged many U.S. settlers to move to this area. So Mexico is a big territory at this point because right now Mexico is the traditional position it is today, but it also includes Texas, like Arizona, New Mexico, parts of Colorado, California. It's very, 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 very big. A lot of land. So Mexico is encouraging people from the United States to come down to the area, move into the area, and Mexico even offered U.S. citizens free land. So it's like, look, come down here, grab some land, do your thing. So many settlers took advantage of the opportunity to flock to Texas. I mean, who wouldn't want to flock to Texas? I mean, it's such a beautiful place. We got beautiful cities, the beaches, the land. I mean, it's just beautiful. So don't get me wrong. I love Louisiana. Love Louisiana. But love Texas. In exchange for free land, settlers had to obey Mexican laws. So these American settlers are coming down to Texas. We already know the idea of westward expansion, so of course America's going to move to Texas. They're being offered free land in Texas, so they're going to come down, they're going to move there, but they're being told, hey, you need to abide by Mexican laws. So many settlers chose to ignore these laws. They came, but they're like, I'm not really going to pay attention to your laws, this is our land, whatever. And concerned that it was losing control to the growing American population, Mexico responded. So there's a growing American population in Texas area of Mexico, and they're not obeying the Mexican rules and regulations. So this is becoming a concerning issue for Mexicans because they want to make sure that everyone living in their land, in their territory, is abiding by their rules and regulations. so they began tightening their control over Texas. So in 1834, General Santa Anna assumed power over the Mexican government. Santa Anna, Santa Anna, Santa Anna, Santa Anna. Well, 1834, General Santa Anna assumed power over the Mexican government. Now, Mexico banned any further settlement of Americans in Texas. They had enough of it. They was like, look, Americans, you're not going to keep moving down here. It's a wrap. Game over. So Mexico banned any further settlements of Americans in Texas, and angry about this new law, many Texans began thinking about gaining independence from Mexico. I mean, it makes sense. They don't want to obey their laws. They're upset about the things going on now, so why don't we go ahead and try to see if we can't gain our independence? Alright, so Texas War for Independence. Yay. Let's watch a quick video clip. Yay. So, Mr. Johnson, pause the video so they can watch the video. Do 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 do. Alright, so on March 2nd, 1836, Texans declared Texans declared their independence from Mexico. So, March 2nd, 1836, Texans declared their independence from Mexico. As a matter of fact, this is a big day that we celebrate in Texas. We call it Texas Independence Day because this is the day that we gain our independence as a country. Because Texas actually was a country for a while. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but this is the Independence Day. So back in Texas, normally on this day, there's little things that schools put on plays. People have little cook-offs and stuff like that. It's a nice little thing that we all do and celebrate in Texas, okay? It's our Independence Day. So they claimed the territory to be an independent republic. Under the leadership of Sam Houston, the Texans launched a rebellion. If you know anything about Texas, you know there's also a Sam Houston University outside of Houston. It's named for this guy. And, of course, we have the city of Houston as well. The Texans' actions angered Santa Anna. He assembled a force to stop the rebellion. So people living in Texas now, many were of American descent, and decided they're going to become their own country. They don't need to put up with this. But at the same time, Mexico's like, wait a minute, we technically own Texas, so you are part of us. So Santa Anna, the controller, is pretty upset about this. So he has assembled a force to stop the rebellion. A small group of Texas volunteers took their stand against the Mexicans at the old mission called the Alamo. The Alamo. Look, Holmes, you cannot leave our country. This is Mexico. Look now, I'm a Texan, purebred Texan. I want my independence. I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that means? It means I want my own country. It means I want my own city. Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. What's up? Alright. So, for almost 2 weeks, the Texans held out. Despite the Texans' brave resistance, Santa Anna forces were too strong. Okay, so there's a little bit of a struggle here. There's this power struggle. Who's going to get Texas? Is it going to be an independent country, or is it going to remain a part of Mexico? So every Texan who fought at the Alamo died in battle and was executed after being captured. So if you didn't die fighting the Mexicans for the independence of Texas, then chances are you were captured and you were killed afterwards. Santa Anna was making it very clear that Texas was a part of Mexico, and just because Americans were there, they cannot just gain their independence and up and run away. So Santa Anna now chased the untrained forces of Sam Houston. Okay? Now outnumbered, the Texans fled east, my bad. So Santa Anna now chased the untrained forces of Sam Houston. So he's running them out, and these Texans are outnumbered and they're fleeing east. So they recognized and took a stand at the San Jacinto River. So while Mexican troops were resting nearby, Houston forces swarmed the camp, shouting, "Remember the Alamo! Remember the Alamo! Remember the Alamo! 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 Remember the Alamo!" So the fighting ended swiftly. Okay, remember, swiftly is like a word for quickly, rapidly, and Santa army was destroyed. So as they're fighting for their right to have Texas as their own country, they were able to come in and sweep out Santa Anna in the Mexican fleet. During the battle, Santa Anna was captured. Okay, in exchange for his freedom, the Mexican leader promised to give up Texas. So of course he wants to be free. He doesn't want to die. So sure, go ahead. You guys can have Texas, whatever. After winning their independence from Mexico, many Texans hoped the United States would annex it and make Texas a state. So I think there's an area for you to write the word annex down. Annex makes it a state. Because remember, even though they have a free country and they're cool with having their own country, the Texans Republic, they are mainly of American descent. So there's still a loyalty to the United States. So hopefully they can add Texas as part of the United States. So Texas is free now, okay? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Texans are free. Whew, sorry. That was in case some of y'all decide to go to sleep. Wake up. Okay, so the annex it, made into a state. Yes, indeed. Now, many people did not want to annex Texas because it would be admitted as a slave state. Now, remember, there was this battle between should slaves be allowed in the country or should they not? And there was a power struggle between slave states, states that had slaves, and states that didn't have slaves. So, if they added Texas, it would be coming in as another slave state, and states in the north would have another issue of having another state that had slaves. So if this happened, it would give slave states an advantage in Congress. Because Congress is where everything is fought out. Remember, Congress is split down into two, House of Representatives and House of Senate. So Texas remained an independent nation for nearly 10 years. That's right, folks. My country, Texas, the Republic, the great Republic of Texas. We were once our own people. Matter of fact, if you go to London, England, you can actually find the Embassy of Texas in London. So in 1845, Texas was admitted into the Union as a slave state. So we came in, we decided, you know, we'll be here, we'll help out the United States by being here, being present in the moment, you know. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick activity. So if you look in front of you, we have the country there. You have your green states, which were states and territories that were considered free states. Your orange ones below are your slave states. You see Texas over there to the left is a gray territory. It says Texas Annexation, 1845. Now I want you to name 5 states that are slave states and identify 5 states that are free states. So go ahead, use your Post-it note, extra sheet of paper, anywhere you have room. Go ahead and write it down. Write down 5 states that are slave states and then 5 states that are free states. You do have a little help because the initials of those states are up there. And we're going to look at it right now and kind of look at the dynamic of what the free states that were freed, you know, about where people didn't have to be slaves, and then states that had slaves, okay? Now, you're going to have an independent activity. You're going to be placing the following in correct order, and I believe I'm going to go ahead and go, folks, and I'll let Mr. Johnson finish up. I've certainly appreciate it, and so but yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and I guess I'll leave now or whatever. So anyways, yeah, be easy.